Okay, so this video goes over different shoulder raises. First one I'll show here is the front raise. So setting up for it, pretty straightforward. To start standing up straight, your feet should be about hip width apart. Have the weights against the front of your thighs. Keep your arms straight. Raise the weights to about in line with your shoulder. These are front raises. They will work the front of your shoulders. So see how high I'm bringing the weights? Also notice how I'm bringing the weights up. My muscles are what's bringing the weights up. So I'm raising it up slowly. I'm not whipping it up, not using my legs. So I'm making sure it's all shoulders. So here's an example of me pushing my hips into it. Make sure you use those shoulders. So here are some examples of side raises. These will work the sides of the shoulders, the lateral delts they're called. So it's a little tough to tell because this is a slight downward angle as far as my camera goes. But when you're doing side raises, what you want to try to do is try to keep that your elbow a little bit higher or in line with your fist. So you don't want your fist getting higher than your elbows. Try to keep it in line. I'll show some examples where the fists come way higher than the elbows. So keep the fist down a little bit and the elbows high. What that will do is it'll do a better job working the shoulders. So these are good reps. That's a bad rep. So that's what I mean about don't bring your fists higher than your arms, or higher than your elbows, I mean. So try to keep those elbows on the high side like that. Try to keep, if you're doing side raises, try to keep the dumbbells in line with your body. So there, I'm forward a little bit there. The last one was better. Try to do a better job keeping them sideways. So now I'm going to work on rear delt raises, so my back delts. So what I'm going to do, I bent over as you can see, and I'm going to raise up the dumbbells out to the sides, squeezing the back of my shoulders. So this will work your upper back muscles and your rear delts, so the back of your shoulders as well. And notice where the weights are. So setting up, you get in that bent over position, just like you're going to do some dumbbell bent over rows. So the dumbbells will be over in front of your knees. And then from there, you raise it up to the side. There you go. So try the best you can to stay bent over. Try not to whip them up. So I'm going to rewind this a little bit. So if you look at my elbow at the top and throughout the whole movement. So this is kind of a rough angle. It looks like my elbows are bent quite a bit. They're not bent that much, but when you're doing these rear delt raises, the raises to the side, and when you're doing side raises, so these are rear delt raises, bringing them to the back, arms out to the side. Side raises, you're standing up straight, bringing them out to the side, like I said earlier. For those two, you can keep your elbows bent a little bit. We call that soft elbows, right? Kind of like how my knees are. See how much my knees are bent? That's about how much bend I want to see in your elbows for the side raises and the rear delt raises with the shoulder raises. When you're doing the front raises, you can keep your arms straight. So it's fairly soft elbows, just barely soft there. Okay, here's another example of rear delt raises. I just changed my grip. This will hit my rear delts more. The one I did before was a little more dominant on the upper back. All right, so going back to having that slight elbow bend. So this is kind of almost a perfect T shape in my body. So when we're doing rear delt raises, we don't want this perfect T shape in our body. We don't want that. What I'm going to do next, sag those arms down. Good. So it's kind of like a droopy T, I guess, right? So this is more of the shape we have. That's more of the shape I want. Okay, so I don't want a perfect T. And as you can see, I'm squeezing my back. You can see my shirt's wrinkling up here. That means I'm using my back muscles, and the back of my shoulder muscles are also working in order to do this. So why do that? The reason is because it's a better movement for the shoulders. Sometimes when you're trying to move your shoulders in that perfect T type position, it can hammer on the shoulders, not in a good way. It usually puts the shoulders in a stressful situation where you're just stressing the joint and not stressing the muscles to get stronger. So when you're just stressing a joint, you're usually injuring a joint. So we're trying to stress the muscles to make them stronger, not injure you. So try to practice that, and that's how you do shoulder raises.